So the summer has many traditions, starting with 4th of July holiday. 4th of July, not only celebrating the birth of our nation and what a beautifully appropriate song that was. Also, the day of barbecues and swimming and all sorts of fun things outside. Other ways of celebrating the summer. Oh, I know, go to a movie in a cold movie theater. That's a way I like to celebrate the summer, right? All sorts of ways. Summer camp for children. We just had our most amazing summer camp for our kids here. It was fantastic. So lots of ways to traditions that celebrate summer. What I'm proposing this month is that found in some of those traditions, those summer traditions, could be what I'm calling summer wisdom. That we could use those traditions as metaphors for spiritual wisdom that helps us live a more connected life, a more fulfilled life, a more joy-filled life, more spiritually on purpose life, a more prosperous life, a more healthy life, a life that is more aligned with the divine of our being. So each week this month, in a variety of ways, we're going to take a summer tradition and look at it from a spiritual perspective and find wisdom in it. So to set the tone for this morning, I want you to do me a favor, close your eyes. Just go on a tiny little journey with me. So you'll only have to imagine this part for just a moment, so don't freak out, okay? Especially women of a certain age, don't freak out about this. I want you to think it's a really hot day in July. Now, ladies, you know what I'm talking about. It's a really hot day in July. I know you can imagine that because it is going to be one today. And you are hot. Oh my goodness, you are so hot. And there doesn't seem to be any relief inside, and the beads of sweat are starting to pop out on your brow and drip down your neck. But all of a sudden, somebody brings to you a slice of juicy, sweet, cold watermelon. Yes. And you take a bite of that slice of juicy, cold, sweet watermelon, and your whole body just cools off. And you feel relief from the summer heat. Are you with me? Cool? All right. Then come back to this room. Because that set our tone for where we're going to go today. Who knows who Wally Amos is? Yes, what is his other name? Famous Amos. Which he can't call himself that anymore because that title was owned by his cookie company. So Famous Amos chocolate chip cookies, a recipe that he got from his aunt, I believe, and tweaked a bit and then made it very famous. When he sold Famous Amos chocolate chip cookie company, he also sold the name. So he could no longer call himself Famous Amos. So he changed it to the Famous Cookie Man. That's what he changed it to. But nonetheless, Famous Amos not only made really some great chocolate chip cookies, he also was a man of deep spiritual wisdom. And he's written a number of books on just fundamental, basic ways to live your life. And he came up with what he called his Watermelon Credo. And then wrote a little book called Watermelon Credo, the book. And that's what we're going to explore, the Watermelon Credo. So I want to read you a passage from the introduction to that book. He said, "Watermelon is fun." Yes, it is, and we just had that confirmed. Again, confirmed. It's inspirational. Even the most enormous watermelon springs from a single seed, and it serves as a reminder that you are larger than life, and you must always live life from your highest self. You can count the seeds of a watermelon, but you can't count the watermelons in a seed. By that I mean you shouldn't take anything for granted. Marvel at the opportunities and experiences that surround you. Don't let events overwhelm you. You have the power to create and change events by what you believe. Let the Watermelon Credo help you to discover your highest self and to use your inner strength and beauty to make the world a better place. Please join me as I embark on a trip that follows the tenets of the Watermelon Credo to your inner self. Assimilating this credo will help you prepare for the good times as well as the rough times that may lie ahead. So that's Wally Amos's invitation. I make the same invitation to you. I invite you to join me over the next couple of weeks as we embark on a trip that follows the tenets of the Watermelon Credo to our inner self, that helps prepare us to prepare for the good times and have them even better, and to prepare for those times in life where it looks like we hit a bump in the road, and how we can approach those from a higher perspective and make the bump a little less bumpy. So the Watermelon Credo, you might be figuring out. I know some of you who are so sharp already Googled it, and you can find it online, so some of you know it already, but it is the Watermelon Credo has taken the word watermelon and made it into an acronym. There we go. So you may be freaking out, oh dear me, how many letters are in watermelon? That's a long talk this morning. Well, no, that would be way too much information. That would be seriously TMI in one Sunday. So we're going to split it up over the next couple of weeks. And today we're actually going to take 3 juicy bites of the Watermelon Credo, of spiritual wisdom found in it that will help us lead this more deeply connected, joy-filled life. So we're going to do W, A, and T today. Those are our letters for the day. The W is not going to be any surprise to any of you. Fundamental tenet of our teaching, but it is one we can't hear often enough, because we need to not only know it, but know it, embody it, live from it. So this morning, when I say what the W stands for, please, if you've heard it before, and you have, don't check out. Don't check out and go, yeah, I've heard, oh my God, she said this so many times, I'm bored with this. No. Please, no. You know, the most damaging words when we hear anything is to say, yeah, I already know that. 4 really damaging words. So let's not do that, because you do already know it. But the question is, where could there be a refinement? Where could there be an expansion? Where could there be a deepening in this idea? Okay, so you ready for that? Yeah. Okay, so the first of the Watermelon Credo is the W, and it stands for whatever you believe creates your reality. Right? Yeah, I told you, you've heard it before. I've told you, you've heard it 3 or 4 times before. This month, this morning, you've already heard it 3 or 4 times. Whatever you believe creates your reality. So Ernest Holmes, our founder, said it in a million different ways in everything he wrote, but I found one quote that I really love out of his book, Love and Law, which is actually a compilation of lectures that he gave. So it was somebody listened to him and then transcribed it and put it in a book called Love and Law. And he said, there is only one thing I ask of you, and that is this, that you absolutely believe this thing works. And this thing he is talking about is the law, that the law simply works. If you do not believe it works, it will not work, because everything is about belief. Taking that absolutely straight from the scripture, Jesus said, it is done unto you as you believe. So whether it's Ernest Holmes, Jesus of Nazareth, Jesus the Christ, or famous Amos, Wally Amos, truth is truth. And that is absolute spiritual truth, that whatever we believe creates our reality. So the question is always, when life heats up for us, if something out here happens that's like, oh dear me, what's that all about? I didn't, how did I create that? Is a question we ask ourselves sometimes. The real question is, what am I believing? Not how did I create that? That just can create guilt and our self, beating ourselves up and our self-sabotage and all. We don't need any of that. But what a great question could be to ask when life heats up out there is, what am I believing in here? What am I believing about myself? What am I believing about others? What am I believing about this situation? What am I believing? It's a great question to ask. What station am I tuned to, and what station am I believing? Am I tuned to and believing what's playing on gloomy FM? Am I tuned into and believing what's on reality FM? Am I tuned into and believing on what's on potential FM. And if you have no idea what in the world is she talking about, jump online, go to June 4th, because I gave a whole talk on gloomy, reality, and potential FM. If you are not tuned in to potential FM, then you have an invitation to tune in there with your beliefs about yourself, about the world, about others, and about fill in the blank, whatever the situation is. June 4th was the date of that talk. When we are facing challenging times, it is a time for a new perspective. There was an article in the newspaper on Thursday that Lonnie read and said, here, you have got to read this. You will love this. Read it. And I was so blown away. How many of you know, so this will date us, get prepared to be dated, Carlos Santana? Yeah. He and his band were just here. Friday night, they were here. So there was an article in Thursday's paper, really kind of advertising their concert, but it was an interview with Carlos Santana. I didn't know the light that he is. Did you know that this is a deeply spiritual man who, if he doesn't know it, he is a religious scientist. He may not know that, but he is. So here's a question that was asked him, and I want to give you the question and the answer that he gave, and just listen to the beliefs that he holds that show in his answer. So the question was, as someone who's been working toward peace with your musical frequencies, I love that, since the 60s, is it frustrating to you that peace is still something that we have to work toward? All right, so there's a belief in the interviewer is showing up in that question. Listen to his answer. Listen to what he believes. It's there. He says the answer to that is no, I'm not frustrated because I have imagination to, like an astronaut, go way up and see it. And when I see it, it's like this. The only thing that's real is love, unity, harmony, and compassion. Now, he just told us what he believes, didn't he? They, meaning media is what he's talking about, and politicians, and they try to convince you that it's all built on economics and the thought that there's not enough for everyone. So they sell you fear so you can vote for a guy who sells more fear. When I was a kid, they used to sell every Friday the Mummy, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, and Dracula. And that's what this is. But you can turn the TV off and then it doesn't scare you, does it? Because there is a way to turn it all off and to turn on to what's really happening, which is an incredible magnitude of beauty in this planet that has nothing to do with CNN or people selling bad news. I'm not talking about hiding like an ostrich. I'm talking about visiting the solution, not the pollution. The solution, is that great? I'm talking about visiting the solution, not the pollution. The solution is to awaken to your own light. Oh, Carlos, rock on. And this is the quantum leap. It's called forward thinking. The new wave just around the corner is called the collective awakening. Awakening to what? To your own light. How do you like that? So that's a powerful belief system. Do you have that belief system? That's a rhetorical question. You don't have to answer it. You don't have to answer it. But if you get in fear about things, can you move to that, what he just said? The only truth is love and unity and harmony and compassion. That's the truth. So when we turn our belief to that and embody that belief, we then create that reality. And we've talked before here about the tipping point and the turning point, that when enough of us individually believe that, then the collective shifts. So it's our job. It is our job for our own lives and for the life of our planet, for us to believe that we create our own reality and then focus on what is it that we're believing about our reality. What are we believing? So that's credo number 1 in the Watermelon Credo. Let's take it to the A. Very similar to what you believe you create. Very similar with a subtle difference. So what we believe creates our reality is kind of a internally global generalized thing, our general beliefs. The A is now more specific. It's more a moment-to-moment thing. It focuses on the moment-to-moment decisions that we make. So the A stands for attitude, and I don't mean this kind of attitude, although not necessarily a bad thing. Attitude is a magic word. Attitude is a magic word. Again, not a surprise to us. We've heard this before. I've given whole sermons on attitude not all that long ago, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about this. I just want to give you one quick story that I love. It was in the A Science of Mind magazine years ago, and I cut it out and copied it and kept it because I thought this is such a beautiful example of having the right attitude about something somewhat mundane, and yet what a beautiful example of how our attitude is magic. And it fits perfectly with the song that we sang this morning, our I'm Choosing Heaven Today. So it's a story of she was a religious science practitioner, and one Sunday morning, she and her husband got up to go to church. And they noticed that their freezer was not working properly. And things were not as cold as they should be. And she started to panic, like, oh my gosh, I have a freezer full of food. I'm getting ready to go to church. She probably had duties that day. The article didn't say I'm making that up, but who knows? She probably did. And because you usually do. And she had just come home from Texas visiting family and bought a whole bunch of wonderful, didn't say what kind of food, but food that she just loved from Texas that she couldn't get wherever she lived. And so she was all worried that she was going to lose this food. So she started to kind of freak out because a situation hit. Anybody ever freak out when a situation hits? Like, ah! Right? Never, never. Well, she did. She did. And then she got a little voice. She got a little voice that said, her name was Florence. The voice said, act or react, Florence. You can choose heaven or you can choose hell. Right now, which is it going to be? And then she said, okay, all right, I hear you. I choose heaven, which is why I just had to tell this story today because of our song that we just sang. So that's an in-the-moment attitude adjustment, a decision in the moment. What am I going to choose right now in this situation that's happening? Am I going to choose heaven or am I going to choose hell? Okay, I'm going to choose heaven. Well, what does that mean? That means I'm grateful that I happen to have another freezer. It's got stuff in it, but I have another freezer. So she did. So she pulled as much as she could, her beloved things from Texas, she pulled out and put in the other freezer. Didn't have room for everything, so she was a little irked about that. But then Spirit said to her in her voice, that inside voice said, oh, good. Now you get to share some food with someone else who could really use it. Begrudgingly, she said, thank you. But she did, and the voice said, and also, you get to clean out this freezer because it really needs it. Again, begrudgingly, she said, thank you. She did, she sent all that she could into the other freezer they had. She cleaned out that freezer. She took everything she couldn't put in her freezer over to her neighbors. Her neighbors were thrilled beyond words that they got food. She went to church to do her thing, and every now and again, she would want to niggle about, I wonder what a new freezer is going to cost. No. I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. And she kept saying that mantra. That was her attitude. I'm choosing heaven today. And so she did church, and it was a long day, so she was gone for a long time. She gets back home. She opens the freezer door, and it's cold as can be in there. It's working absolutely perfectly. She wrote, apparently one of us, quote unquote, one of us, she or her husband, not saying which one, didn't properly close the door the night before. So she writes, beyond the obvious of being careful about things, she said, I give thanks that I didn't have to buy a new freezer and that I chose to act in peace rather than to react and be in hell. That attitude was entirely hers to choose. And at the end of the article, she wrote, bless God, the triumphs get easier. And they get easier when we make an attitude adjustment in the moment. So, for you, where could there be? I'll ask you this actually more specifically later, but is there any area in your life where there could be an in-the-moment attitude adjustment? Because remember, attitude is a magic word. All right, so let's get to the T. The T, I absolutely love the T. It's perfect for us. It couldn't even be more perfect for today. The T stands for, actually before I tell you the T, I'm going to quote from the Watermelon Credo. Amos said, I am more than I think I am, but far less than we are. Ha. In other words, together we all achieve more. Together we all achieve more. So how many of you are familiar with the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, the multitude of books? You all, come on, you live on this planet, you've heard of the Chicken Soup for the Soul books, right? Well, in the second helping, there is a beautiful little analogy about geese, and it's called Lessons We Can Learn from Geese. There are, I think, 5 or 6 lessons we can learn from geese. I want to give you 3 this morning that apply to this. Together, everyone achieves. The first lesson of the geese is that, and if you've looked up in the sky and you've seen geese flying, right? They fly how? They fly in a V formation, of course. Well, that is not random. That is not just because. That is not because they like a V. It's not that at all. I don't know anything about that. It is that when they fly in that V formation, the updraft that the bird in front creates for the bird behind helps the bird behind be more efficient. And in fact, scientists have studied this, that when they fly in the V formation, they have a 71% greater flying range than if they flew by themselves. They can go 71% farther than if they were on their own. Now that says together we can do more than we can do on our own. So the lesson that is in Chicken Soup for the Soul about the V formation is this. People who share a common direction, oh, that would be us, and a sense of community can get where they are going more quickly and easily because they are traveling on the thrust of one another. Isn't that beautiful? I love that. So some time ago, I wrote out a vision. I'm all about visioning and having a vision. And so I have lots of visions for my life individually, personally, for us as a community. And I went back and I was looking at the vision that I've written for us as a community. And there are pieces in it that absolutely apply to this idea of together we achieve more. And so the piece about this V formation, about when we're in community, we uplift and we help each other, we support each other getting there, wherever there might be, quicker and more easily with less effort when we do it together. This is what I wrote. I was right. This is about the Sunday service. So I said, every person who walks in feels at their depth the presence of God's love, light, and truth. Those who are hurting are immediately uplifted even before anything officially happens, just because of the energy created by others in the room. Those who are in a good space already are empowered to grow and stretch beyond their comfort zones, deepen into their spiritual truth of their being, spread their wings, and fly into their dreams. In addition, they consciously or unconsciously provide comfort and empowerment to others. So that's the vision that I have for us. That totally speaks to this idea that when we are in community, even the community created in this room this morning, and we are more than this room this morning, but just this is creating an updraft for all of us to be propelled more quickly, more swiftly, more easily to manifesting those dreams that are on our heart that God's Spirit Source has placed on our hearts. So this is the first idea from Lessons from the Geese. The second one is, I love this one. When the head goose, so the one who's at the point of that V is taking he's working the hardest, right? He doesn't have the benefit of anybody's updraft. So when he gets tired, he or she gets tired, that goose rotates to the back, which gets the most help, and another one goes to the front. Isn't that beautiful? So our lesson here is it's sensible to take turns doing demanding jobs. It's sensible to take turns. Another part of my vision for us as a community is for every leadership position that's available here, we have a line of people waiting to take it. So that when the one doing it gets tired, he or she can rotate to the back and somebody else is just ready to come in, to step in and handle that. So I have a question for you. Think for a moment. No blame or guilt with either of these questions, but just think for a moment. Are you balanced here or in your life in general in your giving and receiving? Are you balanced? Or are you the one who's always giving? If you are always giving, if you're always the one at the lead, you're always the one at the point of the V, that is going to lead to burnout and that thing David Rosh was talking about, you're going to get mad, either angry or crazy, one or the other, right? Resentment will happen if you're always the one at the lead. And what we find in spiritual community, I've seen it happen a lot, is that somebody stays at the lead way, way too long, gets tired, gets burned out, gets resentful, and leaves, rather than just comes around to the back, not back, but, to just be served and to just receive. So if you are one, and you know who I'm talking to because I've talked to you privately, but I'm talking to you globally now, who just is always the one to give, always the one to give, always the one to say yes. No is a complete sentence, even when I'm the one asking the question. All right? Do you hear me? Say that out loud. No is a complete sentence, even if I'm the one who asks, right? Yes. But where's the other side of that? Are you one who is, except for you, right? That doesn't, oh, right. Except for right here, it doesn't apply right now. Of course it does. So the other side of that is, are you one who's just always receiving, always taking, always taking, always taking, never stepping up and go, you know what, I could do that. So if that's the case, other people are going to get resentful, just saying. And that's their stuff, of course, but really, you will not be as happy. You will not be as happy because we are the happiest. Remember, our whole last month was about creating and being involved in our creation. Well, when you are helping to create something, you are happier. When we're responsible, we're happier. So just check yourself. Where are you in that giving and receiving? So that's the second lesson from the geese. The third lesson, the last one that I want to share with you this morning, is so important. It is, and it's so beautiful. That if, in this V formation as they're flying, if a goose gets sick or tired or wounded and falls to the ground, 2 geese go with it. They do not leave it alone. 2 geese go with it, and they stay with him or her until one of 2 things happens. That goose can get up and fly, and the 3 of them then find another flock. So that's the first thing. That's the only reason they get up and leave. The second reason, if that goose dies, then the other 2 get up and they find another flock to get with. They stay with that goose, either until it's well enough to fly on its own or it dies. They don't leave it. Now that's community, where we care for each other, we stick with each other, we stay with each other, we hold each other's hands through whatever might be going on. And another piece of my vision for CLF is this. We have a fully integrated care structure and have created intimate pockets of community within the larger organization. Because of this, the congregation is profoundly nurtured and cared for. And our CLF circles that Lonnie announced a few minutes ago, that we have openings in 5 circles. And if you are not in a circle yet and you want to get in one, this is where that kind of care happens. It's happening already. I've already heard about how that has happened already in our care circles. So there it is. So this is a place for you to be cared for and nurtured and supported. So run, don't walk after the service is over to the table in the back and get yourself signed up for a circle. So those are our 3. Whatever you believe creates your reality. Attitude is a magic word. And together, everyone achieves more. So I want to take 1 minute to do something here. And I'm going to need help. Who makes the loudest noise over here? No. Well, that's true. But I meant you. It's probably you on drums, yes? Can you make one loud noise? Did you all hear that? If they're all talking, do you think? Give me a blah. There you go. Okay, that's it. Thank you. All right. So thank you. You're going to give you a cue for that. So this is what we're going to do. I want you to think right now, because I always like to make this applicable, personal to you, of those 3. Whatever you believe creates your reality. Attitude is a magic word, and together we achieve more. where is one place, and there's more than one I know, but just identify right now one place in any of those where you go, yep, there's a place for me to deepen into. There's a different attitude for me to take around XYZ situation. There's a stepping back or a stepping forward that I could do in my life. I know there's something for all of us. I want you just to identify that right now. And I hope you do, because I'm going to invite you to now participate in something. And you don't have to if you don't want, but it'll make it more powerful if you do. So here's my invitation. Turn to someone next to you. Don't do it quite yet. If you don't know them, share your names. And then you have 30 seconds to just share whatever that is with the one person that you're sitting next to, whatever it is. And when you hear Jeremy go, bing, then that's time to switch, and the other person has 30 seconds. And when you hear it again, that's time to stop talking because I want to pray. Okay? So you got it? Turn to somebody, share name if you don't know them, and begin, first person, begin sharing now. Give me a... All right. So now you're going to switch. Switch sharers. Switch. Come back to me. Come back to me. Nicely done. Take a breath. And in the spirit of community, I want to do something we haven't done here in a very long time. No stress, no strain to do this. But if you can, reach out and take the hand of the person next to you. I want you to do that. Reach out and take the hand. Oh, well, you're going to stretch right across. Then there you go. You don't have to stretch across if you don't want to. Let us just move into this space of connection. And as we are connected to each other, as we hold the hand or hands of another, we recognize that this is a symbol for our connection with the divine. That we are intimately connected, intricately connected, and intimately connected with the divine, because the divine lives and moves and has its being as us. It is us, living, moving, and breathing. We are God in form. Each of us, and therefore we are one with each other. And as connected with each other, always and in all ways, just as we are connected now, holding hands. So moving into a space of realization of who and whose we are, of who we are in this world. Beacons of light, as Carlos Santana said. And I affirm and know for us that there is an awakening to this light within us. That there is a deeper realization of the spiritual truths that have been brought forth here today. And that we shift and we move and we open ourselves up to deeper beliefs that life is God and God is good, and therefore life is good. We deepen into the realization that love, unity, harmony, and compassion really is all there is. That underneath, above, around, and through are those qualities of the divine. And anything unlike those qualities is an illusion. And as we anchor into and deepen our belief into that truth, we create that truth in our life. And I am so blessed and grateful for this spiritual community that actually lives the principle that together, we go so much farther than we go on our own. So I bless every beautiful soul that is in this community, and I'm so grateful for all of us. I call it good. Oh, so very, very good. I call this prayer good. I call this prayer done. We know that it is so. And together we say, and so it is. Amen.